Double unders. I'm gonna go through a tutorial from having 0 double unders, being able to just skip one skip to more advanced stuff. The double under looks like this. We jump once, rope goes around our bodies twice. Now we're gonna be talking about the timing. We're gonna be talking about the jumping, the body position, the hand position, the rope, what you're doing with your feet, and all that kind of stuff in order to get ourselves, number 1, able to do it, and number 2, proficient. The number 1 thing you need to think about is, am I in the air long enough for the rope to go around me twice? Okay, so number 1 thing, if you're looking at like people who do quick single skips, they're jumping essentially this high off the ground. Okay, what's that, like that much? Okay. Now, the time for the one rope to go around is about that much time. Now, we need to be able to spring ourselves at least that high. Okay? So can you do that? Number 1, can you do that? Right? My knees are barely bending. It's my feet, it's my ankles. I'm not bending at my hip. I'm staying straight up and down. That actually takes practice. Now, if you were to do 20 in a row, 50 in a row, 100 in a row, can you even maintain this, right? That's something we can discuss in the future. Now, so you can jump high enough. Number 2, can you jump in one spot? Okay? So if you were to take a spot on the floor, now, can you stay pretty close to that X? Without jumping backwards, jumping sideways, even spinning. Okay, we want to be able to stay, if you're focused looking at something or just blankly staring forward, jumping straight. Okay? Jumping, body straight, in the one spot. Now we want to add in the timing of the double spin. Okay, now, how do we do that without constantly tripping on the rope? Okay? So number 1, we need to be able to time the flick of the wrists, okay? Versus using our whole shoulders. It's a forearm down movement, but let's try a few different exercises prior to that. Okay, we call it penguin jump, okay? It's called like this because you're doing this, okay? If you look at a penguin, I think they waddle around like this, but their hands like this. So we want to be able to have that high jump in one spot. Now notice, the timing of that is when I'm in the air. Okay, so the timing of that is key. Your brain has to start figuring this out to transfer to the body. So we got this bit, in the air, in the air, in the air. If you're slow, or you're not high enough, your hands can't go fast enough. All right? So that height has to be there. The timing of that has to be there. So that's training part 2. High enough, you're upright, your timing of that. Eventually we'll get to flick the rope around us. Once you get good and the height is good, this timing is good. Again, there's a step before we touch the rope. It's a bit obscure, okay? There's a couple different ways to do it. I have this little device I've created, okay? Now you definitely feel free to use it, okay? It's a wiffle ball with part skipping rope onto a skipping rope handle, okay? And they're like about, I don't know, a foot and a bit long, okay? Now what we're doing with this is essentially we're doing the wrist flick without the rope hitting our feet, okay? We need to get good at the speed, that flick. Your right hand has to go the same speed as your left hand. If one goes faster than the other, then the rope is going to be all discombobulated. Now this takes me to a story. When I started learning these, man, it took me 6 to 8 months to actually get them. And I practiced a lot. What I ended up doing was taking a slow motion video of myself. And what I found out as I was in the air, my right hand was going faster than my left hand. So my left hand side of the rope was not catching up and I would trip. I only noticed that when I slow motion videoed myself. We have the single skips, double. Notice how one's speeding up. So one is going faster than the other. So I need to calm down. When that happens, stop skipping, regroup, reset, try again. Okay, that's what makes these things a little bit awkward. Okay. But at least it gives you a chance to spin these around without constantly tripping and being mad at yourself, okay? Now, if you don't notice the position of my hands while I'm doing these, okay? Hands are not here like this. They're out to the sides like this. The rope then goes around me like this. All right? I want it to look like this. Where are my triceps and biceps part of my arm? They're on my ribs, okay? We're not out here, okay? If you think about a rope, okay, if your hands flare out to the sides, the rope has to be like this, okay? If your hands are down here like this, the rope just needs to be like this, okay? Now, if this thing is swinging around you, look at, there's this extra clearance here, a little bit of space underneath your feet giving you a little bit of cushion. So when you get tired a little bit, maybe you don't need to jump as high, but you need to maintain this tightness in here, okay? That, as these flare out, this thing goes out like this, you trip up, okay? Let me show you some drills to practice that keeping in. One drill I like when I started practicing was to keep a towel under each arm, okay? Just kind of bunch it up, toss it under your armpits. Okay, anytime your arms want to flare out, this comes down, okay? You can make it a game. Every time you drop it, do 10 burpees. Something like that, where it's like, okay, it's gonna hurt. I don't want to drop the towels. I want to keep them in, okay? The trick to this though, is trying to get started while you're in here like this, because oftentimes you need to be a little bit out to get it going. The more you get used to those towels in there, you won't need them. You feel that bicep, feel that your biceps touching your ribs, you're good to go. Anytime you get tired as you flick out, pull it back in. We want to create this narrow U versus this wide U, okay? The rope is like this, right? When it's like this, it just goes higher. It makes no sense. So you have to think about it as you're jumping and in. Another more extreme method is with getting someone to wrap bands around your shoulders to cinch you in, okay? So you'll have to fight against the bands to pull them apart. Okay, so I've got a band. I think we'll do it like this. Okay. Yeah? Just like this. Okay. Oh, no, it's like this. Okay. So I'm in here. I can't even bring it out. Okay, so it's so tight. Now this guarantees my arms are going to be held to my sides because I can't even pull up. Now the trick again is to start this, okay? There we go. Now that's easy, that's nice and easy. I'm not even efforting. It's held me in place. Man, I wish I could do WODs like that. The only thing is it's kind of a pain in the ass to get into and probably get out of. Oh, okay, maybe not so bad. But anyways, that method works. That one might be a better one to start with. Then move to that one, then to feel. Now, once we get good at the non-rope part, we can move on to practicing with the rope. The first step is, you know how I started with talking about just jumping higher? Now, can you jump higher with the rope going around you once? Okay? Now, you can skip your simple single, but you're only that much off the ground. Can you jump a little bit higher, but then swing the rope around you once? Okay, so you got the low, high, 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 high. Getting yourself used to that high jump, but still lazily going around, okay? This is getting your brain used to that high jump consistently. Let me move into some faults. There are a few different ways that people do jump, okay? Now, if you've seen me, it's knees slightly forward, ankles and feet do most of the work. My chest is upright. Nothing's pivoting here. Nothing's happening with my knees, okay? Faults include, mainly the faults include trying to get our feet out of the way of the rope, okay? So there's that indicates you're not jumping high enough. Because why would I need to get my feet out of the way if I can just jump high enough in one spot? So we need to work on our jumping. Right? No go. There's this version where we kind of pike at the hips trying to. You're not jumping from your knees. You're not jumping high enough. You need to get your feet out of the way to do that. Third fault is our hands. Okay? Now, if you're combining all of these kinds of things, we need to just work on it. So let's dial it back. Come back to those. And it's okay if you can't jump high enough today. We will work on getting higher and higher and higher. So I used to be one of those ones that jumped. I could do the double unders, but I would traverse around the floor. Okay? Meaning I would be jumping backwards. How did I fix that? What I did was peripheral vision, okay? I put something that could stand out in my vision. A piece of crap on the floor, a cone, even like this little white bit of towel. Yeah. So what I would do, I would place it down there. I would mark it just on the edge of my peripheral vision. It's down here. Okay. I would see it, and I would start jumping. If I started moving, it moved. So I would try to move back into place. As I started drifting, I would come back with that thing in my peripheral vision. Now when you start drifting, what I mean is you're jumping backwards, okay? If you're jumping in one spot, right, the rope is basically going around you in an arc like this, okay? Now, if you start bouncing back and forth, what's going to happen is, as you bounce backwards, the rope is going to hit the floor here and bounce into your shins, okay? As you bounce backwards, the arc of the path of the rope changes and it hits in front of you and it bounces into your shin. So like I said, do a slow motion video of you jumping. Okay, as coaches, we can see this and we try and tell you, but a good way to determine this is to slow motion video yourself. Watch yourself. If you're jumping backwards, watch where the rope goes. When you're advanced, okay? You can do a 50 in a row, you can do 100 in a row. The only thing at that point that's keeping you from continuing is conditioning. So your cardiovascular, you're breathing hard. Can you maintain that energy level as you keep going? Can you stay in that arms in nice position as you go? As you tire, as your reps go up, are you able to, do you have the capability in your leg muscles, your feet, your arms to keep this height, the spin, and your arms in? Can you keep that going for a high volume? That is what's keeping those elites and those high up guys that are pretty good at them from going even higher in the 150s and the 200s and above, whatever it is. Okay, if you can maintain that position, plus, you know, your brain, can you maintain that focus? Can you keep going for 2 minutes in a row? Do you need to drift around? Do you need to look? All that kind of stuff is important. Now, a quick discussion about ropes. Okay. So when you're learning, I recommend a little bit of a fatter rope. Okay. So the reason for that is your hands aren't spinning around so quickly. You can actually feel the rope as it goes around you. Okay. Meaning, do you feel a drag around you? Okay. Now, as you jump, you should be able to. As it goes around you, are you able to feel the weight of the cable slide through the air as you pull it? Okay. Or are you trying to hopefully the rope follows you? Hope. No. You are trying to get the rope to follow around as you flick the handle. It has to follow you. Okay? So if your hands are too fast, what's the point? You have to slow it down. But if you slow it down, you got to jump higher. So there's that balancing act. Now, a small little tip. Like for me, when I'm doing a lot of them, or when I used to, I'd get tired, okay? So I would get tired. I would have to consciously think on pulling my hands in, okay? Keeping that nice thin U, okay? Anytime this is drifting out, pull it back in. Now what happens to me is my jump gets steadily lower and lower, okay? So now what do I have to do? I have to spin my hands faster, all right? And it doesn't happen, okay? The rope then just doesn't follow. So I know I'm close to tripping, or I'm close to just taking a break, okay? Getting my energy back to restart that high jump. Now what I have figured out over the years is, okay, hand position on the handle helps, okay? Now normally I start with kind of the handles in like kind of the middle of my fingers, okay? A nice and loose hold, okay? Now we don't want to be death gripping this damn thing. We want it to be nice and loose, because our forearms are doing the work already when we're spinning around, right? So we want to have a nice light hold, but still strong enough that it maintains this flick around. Now, as I get tired, my height of my jump drops, okay? The space under my feet drops, so I only have so much I can, like the rope is clearing my feet. Okay, but what I end up doing is, as I'm jumping, I'm sliding the handle towards the end, elongating my rope a little bit, okay? So that's a little bit of a cheat, but it helps me out for a few extra reps. Let's say I'm trying to get to 100 and I'm at 90, but I know I'm gonna fail. So I'm trying to like eke out a few extra reps while I slide this down my hands. Try it, just do it with practice. So that's the tutorial of the stuff that I have gone through in my life trying to figure out how to do these. I am pretty proficient at these, but the only thing really that limits me is my conditioning, okay? The jump is fine, I can keep going for a long time, but maybe it's the conditioning, maybe it's just like, I'm okay doing like 40s and 50s in a row, taking a quick break and then going again. That, I'm gonna leave that up to you. But here's what I do say is practice, 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 okay? When you are learning these, if you've gotten a couple of them, okay? Take the next 30 days. Do your best to get to 100 every day. Okay, not only is it gonna get your legs and your feet ready to get used to jumping, but every day is gonna be better. Every day you're working towards it. It is so fun to be able to be like, okay, the workout is X double unders, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, you don't have to worry about the double under part. It's just like, go and do it. So practice, practice, practice. Work on the things I talked about, keeping those arms in, that nice high jump, staying straight, jumping on the X, and things will come. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to work on it. Like I said, it took me close to 6-7 months in order to be able to string some together. Frustrating, I understand. You got this.